I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com, and it's part 2 of the HTC One versus Sony Xperia Z, or Z, as the Canadians like to say, dogfight battle. Part 2 will find out the speed test, how these devices perform, and more. So stick around. It's part 2 of a dogfight battle. Will the One succeed, or will the Xperia Z? I'm trying to think of something that rhymed, but I couldn't think of anything. It's a dogfight battle, and it starts right now. In part 2 of the dogfight battle between the HTC One and the Sony Xperia Z, we're going to kick it off by talking about personalization, because at the end of the day, it's all about how you can make this device your own. And both Sony and HTC have realized that with their latest iterations of their user interfaces that run atop Android. But before we get into that, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this, Z10s, Note 2s, Galaxy S3s, etc. for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll get you set up with your email, your web, your contacts, your settings. So when you walk out the door, you're hooked up, you're ready to go, and you don't have to waste your time or your weekend or your night getting everything set up. They'll make sure you walk out working at Best Buy Mobile. So let's take a look at personalization. This is something historically that HTC has done a very good job in, and it doesn't change here. I will say they've simplified Sense 5 a lot more than they ever have with any version of HTC since. Historically, it's kind of been the nerds version of a user interface, if you will. You know, TouchWiz, a lot of people say looks like the iOS ecosystem. Sense, they say, is kind of nerdy in look. LG and Motorola kind of have different, depending on who you talk to, different things that people say about it. But you know what? Personalization, they've always done a good job with. And yes, like I said, simplified, but still, there's quite a bit of it in the box when you pull this phone out. So for example, lock screen style, this is something from previous versions of Sense. I've got easy access to my wallpaper lock screen. I actually use the productivity lock screen, which I like. And I can go into settings and say, you know what, display calls, messages, emails, calendar event. But it's important to note that this API only works with the actual Mail app and not with Gmail. So keep that in mind. If you use just Gmail, Mail won't display. Photo album, music, and then of course no lock screen as well. So a lot of different choices there, and then the typical wallpaper stuff. And if you're like me, you want to see the wallpaper that comes out of the box. You can just see some of HTC's new wallpaper options with the HTC One, top notch all around, and they look great on the 4.7-inch 1080p display. Really incredible all around. So we'll apply that one for the remainder of the video, and then I'll change it back when I go back to using this as my personal phone when I click the video off. But you can see personalization choices there, and then like I said, lock screen personalization, and you'll notice some differences in the overall look and feel of the lock screen as well. Now let's jump over here to the Xperia. You've got a couple of different options. Display, we'll go in here, font size, of course, which you have access to over here as well. But themes, I happen to find these particularly useful. And in traditional Sony Xperia style, you've got amber, emerald, sapphire, silk, Xperia, all the different color themes that you're used to. So I can change to ruby, for example, and you'll see my checkboxes light up red. You'll see the theme kind of be red, the clock font, the clock look and feel. The colors are all red here. And then I've got my settings. I'll go right back to display. You see all the icons change to red as well. So then I've got my lock screen also. I can change my wallpaper. So you do get some decent customization here on this device as well. That said, is it as robust as HTC's? I'd probably argue no, but you still have quite a bit of customization over here on the Xperia side. One thing I do like though, and this is something they kind of pulled a cue from the Samsung playbook here with the Note 2, go to recent applications and take a look at HTC's just for comparison purposes. They really customized theirs. But you'll see kind of a more traditional, I should say, I mean they've obviously customized it, but more traditional Android recent apps experience over here. But you'll notice these kind of icons down at the bottom. They're called small apps, and they can basically allow you, much like the Note 2, to multitask while you're doing something else. So for example, I can pull up a note, I can take a note, and then I can get rid of it, and it saves the notes to the note application. Likewise, I can come into the calculator. I need to do a quick calculation. I can do that. I can move this around if I want to on the screen and put it wherever I want to. Really enjoy that ability even for basic stuff like the calculator, for Notepad, to be able to customize and really kind of multitask on my device. And not just that, but you can come in here and see, you know what, I've got installed small apps. I've got toggle switcher. I can bring these in and put these all down here. Or I can, for example, toggle switcher will bring down here, and then I can swipe over. I can move those around, or if I want to get rid of it, I can get rid of it and then go back to my plus sign. So go to Play Store, and actually there's a little bit of an ecosystem in the Play Store for these small applications, as you see here. So it's loading up right now. Play Store. Let's see what we've got. And forgive me, I'm on T-Mobile's Edge right now. I'm actually running T-Mobile here and AT&T on these unlocked devices. So you can see here, small application for mirror, unit converters, and more. So you've got really some choices there, and they're kind of building an ecosystem around these small applications, kind of like the Note 2's multitasking capabilities. So I thought that was pretty cool and wanted to go ahead and share that with you. Now, let's take a look at quadrant standard on both of these devices as well and see which one comes out on top. And I won't spoil the fun for you. Excuse me. Quadrant standard. And let's go ahead and back out of this one, and we'll run the benchmark as well. Now, from a speaker standpoint, quadrant standard really does not like running on this device. Run full benchmark. There we go. From a standpoint of, overall performance and a day-to-day kind of usability, calling, speakerphone, text messaging, things like that, I find that both of these devices are relatively useful. This has a 2,300 milliamp hour battery over here, and for the most part, it makes it through the day with little to no stopping whatsoever. I find that the standby time is pretty decent. For me, at least, with moderate to heavy use, I find myself charging around 7 or 8 p.m. at night with the HTC One. And obviously, your use depends on what you do. Your use isn't going to be exactly my use, but still pretty impressed with the battery life overall, given the fact that it's a smaller 2,300 milliamp hour battery. Over here, 2,330 milliamp hours, I get about 7 hours of use, moderate use, out of the Xperia Z. So from a battery standpoint, I'd recommend the HTC One between these two devices. Not just that, but because of standby time as well. They've done a really good job on the standby front on HTC. They've done a pretty decent job. I can't complain on the standby time. So really impressed with that. Sony Xperia Z, let's take a look at quadrant standard. 12,104 over here, 7,983 over on the Xperia Z. So both of these are incredibly fast devices with little to no lag. Both have 2 gigabytes of RAM. You're not going to notice a slowdown really with either one of these devices, with the exception of some sort of freak slowdown, but I have to give the slight edge to the HTC One in that test. Let's take a look at camera as well. Load this up. 13.1 megapixel camera over here, 4 ultra pixel camera over here. HTC is doing their best to redefine the camera experience on the HTC One. And you can see a picture I took last night while I was cooking because I was frustrated because my pot was not boiling. Let me jump back here and let's go to camera shots. And there it is. Watch pot really does never boil, but you've got that image, and then I can go directly into the camera, take a look at the live shot. Now over here you've got some options as well. And I've got superior auto, normal video camera, burst mode, picture effects. So much like the common stuff from Samsung and HTC, I've got things like burst mode and sweep panorama and all those little camera goodies I'm used to. And I will say the camera image quality is pretty decent over here all around. You're going to be pretty pleased with it. So it's focusing in on the HTC One. Let's see what we can do up here at the top. Bam. So pretty impressed with the overall picture. This is just, no settings change, just pulling it out of the box and taking a picture. Pretty impressed there. Looks good. Zoom in, and you can see the grill on the HTC One, the metal. It looks clean. Overall colors are pretty decent on the camera test. And obviously you can see, again, my on-screen buttons. And then if I had a map, it would tell me where this picture was taken. Like that. And, of course, your front-facing camera. Hello. And then I'll go back here to the back and do my settings so you can take a look. Resolution, self-timer, quick launch, smile shutter, all that stuff, geotagging, and more. So if I geotag, which will take 4 freaking ever because I'm on edge, and I won't even do that because I don't want to enable GPS right this second. But you can see over here as well, 4 ultra pixels. They're bigger pixels, long story short, and it comes with something called HTC Zoe, which I've covered at length in the HTC One videos, so take a look at those. But basically I can turn this on and shoot a Zoe, for example, and I'll bring it in on the Sony Xperia Z. Shoot this Zoe just so you can see what it looks like. And a Zoe takes a combination of a 3-second video and still images as well. So you can extract still images if you want to. Then I can take a combination of Zoes and just a bunch of different shots around the desk, for example. And then it's going to organize these all into the gallery. So I'll come back here to gallery and take a look. Get out of my watched pot. And let's see. Camera shot. Actually, no, let's not go to camera shots. Let's go back. And let's go to My Photos, and you'll notice it aggregates your Facebook photos as well on HTC's Gallery app. But for example, from the 27th today, here's all the pictures that I've taken, including my Zoe. So it brings together a master Zoe here, and you can use it and send it to your friends, and you'll see it brings together music and more. So it does this all on the phone side. You don't have to have any editing skills. You don't have to touch this. This is great for those people, you go to a wedding or you're taking pictures at a park on the weekend, and you take 100 or 200 pictures or Zoes or a combination of both. It'll create this really nice clean video that you can send to friends, and you get a couple of different options. I'm on Eiffel, for example. Go to Vega, and you can see the different music, the different photo abilities. The phone doll does this on its own. This is not something you have to worry about doing, which I think is a pretty cool feature and something that's pretty useful. And so from here I can say, you know what, share. And I've got the option for HTC share, and then I've got, of course, the traditional methods: Facebook, Dropbox, Twitter, messaging, and more. But pretty particularly interested in that feature, and I find it to be particularly useful all around. And then another thing I want to point out, they've really done a good job rather of making the front-facing camera wide. And of course you've got some picture options here as well, just some stuff to play with, kind of like an Instagram filter type effect over here, and then, like I said, front-facing camera will switch so you can take a look. And look how wide this front-facing camera is. You can see all the ceiling behind me, the walls, and more. So compare that to something like the Xperia Z, where we'll come back and take a look there. Whoops. Take a look there for comparison. And you can see how impressive the front-facing camera on the one really is. So imaging department, it does a great job. Now, it's tough to declare a winner in Dogfight because, again, these are both great Android phones, and it depends on what you prefer. And I wasn't even able to touch on both HTC and Sony's ecosystem. So Sony's got some great options like social life, movies, and more. So if you're an entertainment buff, you're hooked up and signed on to Sony, be it PlayStation, be it other things that they do, you may benefit from having the Xperia Z. That said, from an overall hardware, software standpoint, availability on carriers in the US, the HTC One is the winner of the Dogfight. It's a great all-around device. It continues to win dogfights. I'm so excited about this device coming to the US because I think it represents a great step forward for HTC in 2013. I mean, it really is a powerful device, and it's packed in a gorgeous shell. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage. Let me know what you think of this dogfight on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron, Facebook, Facebook.com/Hi Aaron Baker. That's it for this dogfight. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage of both of these devices. And as always, I'll see you next time.